With that, I believe it is time now. No, not for the raffle, but we have one more session, and we're going to conduct the raffle post that, because what we have next is a very important session, and the person has been waiting for a very long time. We are extremely sorry for the delay, Olga Bukonina. Olga is CEO and founder of Action Spot Corp, and she's going to speak on something called how data governance works in enterprise. Blockchain in enterprise affects a number of aspects in today's implementation, and that also includes data governance. To know more about communication protocols such as P2P and data security, utilizing blockchain and non-blockchain technologies to create the next generation of communication with increased data protection. We have with us Olga Bukonina. Olga, whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Thank you so much for sticking around, and we appreciate you taking the time to speak to us, Olga. Over to you. We can see your screen.
Can you see it now?
Yes, please.
Okay, perfect. Anvil Kumar, thank you very much for inviting me to talk at SODACON. And I also want to say to everyone, happy holidays. Okay, so on that note, let's talk. When I'm talking about data governance, I always say that, and it's very relevant to what we have today. It's a garbage in and garbage out. It's a great model, right? We are collecting data. We have a garbage data on social media, and then people are converting it into this valid data and making a statement. Yes, now it's given. Given data, and that data will be proven. So there is, for the last 4 or 5 years, it became very popular to talk about the data and the blockchain. And so when we are talking about data and the blockchain, there is a big value to that. So you can break it down to this, what I would say, to 3 main aspects. It's a veracity, provenance, and immutability, because that's what the basic concept of the blockchain. And when I converted to the blockchain values, veracity guarantees through the consensus, provenance guarantees through the cryptographic signatures, and immutability is guarantees through the state of replication across different nodes or oracles or whatever you have on your blockchain. But there is a catch. How do you ensure that the data which you put on the blockchain is actually authentic? Because I can take 2 Van Gogh paintings, and one is a very well done replica and one is an original. And if I make a statement and the first painting which comes to the blockchain and authenticated is a replica, and in a physical world I know that it's a replica, but when I put it on a so-called chain, it becomes an original. So basically, instead of having a real Van Gogh, you'll have a fake Van Gogh on a blockchain, and in other words, you'll have a garbage in your living room if you can afford Van Gogh. So how do we find the source? How do we identify it? How we process it? And how we are creating a digital and analog interface? So basically, for the identification, we always need to know where the source is coming from. Origination, the identity. Like I said, keep telling people, Wikipedia is not always the right source to do search. It's a great source, it's excellent source, but it's not always the most accurate. Sometimes you need to read Encyclopedia Britannica, or sometimes you need to use your own common sense. Then the processing and transmission, that's when we are addressing the timing delays and how fast we can move that data and who gets the data first. When it comes to the analog interfaces or digital data. That's where, like the whole conference today, we're talking about storing data, fast processing data, latency processing data, cloud data, edge compute data. This is all data, and that data needs processing interfaces. So now we come to, that was my quick summary, very high level on the value of data to blockchain. Now let's talk about data governance. The data governance is critical to any blockchain. It's actually extremely critical. And when we talk about the definition of the data governance, it's a large amount of enterprise data constrained by policies and procedures. You need to establish infrastructure, you need to set up interfaces. Our whole last 2 days at the SODACON was talks about it. It was not directly spoken, but it actually is all the conversations about the data governance. And when I take that and convert it into this block diagram on the data governance in a blockchain, you will see different aspects. You have the so-called suppliers, managers, owners, investors, customers, staff, regulators, partners. All of them are participants in a so-called self-validating data governed interfaces. Right now, there is a lot of talk about blockchain being disaggregated, and at the same time, now there is a number of the government initiatives where we are considering a hybrid model of the governing data, where it's a centralized and decentralized. And what that does, it allows it to some extent helps to prevent or create prevention for data fraud. Well, let's talk about the fundamentals. Fundamentals would be rules to input and maintaining data. You need to enforce the rules. Let's say if the state of Michigan creates a record on a title of a house, someone needs to make sure that this house is owned by that person, and the data which was announced by the state of Michigan and recorded as it did is actually accurate data. And then there is also a management of the data. So who will manage the data, how we store the data, and where it's gonna go. When we talk about types of data governance, we have 2 types. We have a direct data governance and the indirect data governance. For the direct data governance, it's every participant uses the data and votes on a decision. A couple of things which come to mind. The pros is every vote counts. There is no intermediaries, minimal division of data. Users and participants have much more control. And the cons are, it's very hard to reach a consensus. It can be very costly, and not everyone will want to participate. When it's indirect data governance, just like I said, there is people who will be working on that data. They can create and hire representatives. And the biggest problem of all is with group growth. It becomes increasingly difficult to manage the points of being non-functional information, and the representatives will be sub-representatives. It's like in IT world, we have contractors, subcontractors, subcontractors. So at the end of the day, you are always chasing who is responsible for that project, which is not succeeding. So the pros of the representative model would be model is efficient when it comes to the decisions to make them just faster. It everyone understands how it works. It's comparatively easier. You can always choose the representative you want. It's cost effective. On the con side, the representative may work in a self-interest and they can only elect the ones which they want to work with. And then there is also the inheritance accountability of the representatives. To what level do you give them the accountability? So when it comes to the blockchain governance and connecting that, like I mentioned in the beginning, you have consensus, incentives, information, and governing structure. So when we start integrating that into data governance, that's what we talk today, the specs, the policies, the organizations, the data security, availability, and etc. all will play a key role. And now I want to get to the couple of the key topics, and it's at the moment under SNIA, and SODA is a partner, strategic partner of SNIA professional SNIA, Storage and Network Alliance organizations. We started the blockchain initiative for the creating a data storage centric spec for blockchain interoperability. And when it comes to creating a blockchain interoperability, there are two aspects. There is a data storage, when you store on hard devices, and then there is a networking protocol. So for the storage and network protocols, you'll need to do the data accuracy, reliability, transparency, and encryption. And for the P2P itself, it's a latency, security, and data integrity. So this is the block diagram of the currently on a first draft of the SNIA blockchain data-centric data storage interoperability. So as you can see here, and the whole 2 days we were talking about this. And so this fabric would be, you have a physical interface, you have a fabric, which can be your Ethernet interface, it can be your fiber channel. Then you have a networking layer wrapper, which you can call point-to-point protocol. And then up above where you have that will be your blockchain protocols. So it can be Ripple, it can be Ethernet, it can be less, it can be DeFi, anything what you say. And on top of that, you have an application layer with a smart contracts. So where the key value proposition of SNIA interoperability will come into picture is that the interface of the transferring data and transferring governed data between point A and point B, host target, however you want to call it, and creating the device drivers for the, including SODA Foundation, using SODA Foundation libraries for the, in the concept of the REST APIs. And the data, once you transfer it, gets stored and with the security mechanism applied. And the breakdown for the like a zoom in interface would be this, where we are focusing on the fabric interface between SNIA wrapper, and that will be a spec, and storage data. And on that note, I apologize for doing it, but I'm looking actually for people who can help us to build a spec, and I'm hoping that we can partner closer with SODA Foundation as well. And the spec will be the blockchain interoperability specification for the enterprise market. And on that note, I'd like to close the presentations, open for questions and answers, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Olga. That was a very nice and crisp presentation. And happy holidays to you as well. We started off on a very good note, and thank you for staying around for so long. We know it's quite late, and you were actually planning on a video earlier on, but we are very glad that you were present here in person and live.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, I think it's very important, and every talk this for the last 2 days was very intuitive and interesting. And yeah, I agree. So, guys, happy holidays.
Happy holidays again, and thank you for staying around. And if we do get any questions in the end, we will be passing along them to you. And we are looking to collaborate. Definitely, we'll look to collaborate, and we will
Right.
explore the option of how we can go ahead with this. Thanks once again, Olga Bokonina of Action Podcast.
Thank you.
All right, then. Do we have a question? No. Happy holidays. Happy holidays, Shane.